It is with great sadness today that I announce the unexpected passing of my other pair of sunglasses. I pulled them out of my book bag this morning and the handle is snapped. So now we're back to the ones that I would use like 3 years ago. What is going on, guy? Terrible Halloween props guy 444 here, and today I am coming at you with a all new top 10. Now I want to start to do these top 10s a lot more often because I think that they were a mainstay in my channel when I was first starting off, and I wanted to bring them back because they were always really fun to make, but they were always very cheap, poorly edited, and I feel like now with my newer mastery in the skill of editing and just the way that I present myself on my channel now, I think it'd be really cool to remaster a lot of those old top 10s. So to kick it off, I did a vote yesterday on my Instagram, follow down below in the description if you have not already, and of course if you want to support the clothing brand, that will also be down in the description. On Instagram, I did a poll on my story and asked you guys what top 10 you wanted to see come out today at the time of release, and most of the people said top 10 worst animatronics of all time. The other two picks will come out eventually along with even more, just over time, of course, but while it's a negative way to kick off, it's good to get all the negativity out of the way before we get to a lot of the more positive videos, and I think that's pretty good. So, not a lot for me to say. I'm going to be going over my top 10 least favorite animatronics ever made, along with 3 honorable mentions at the beginning. So let's get right into it. So before we begin, like I had just said, I want to go over a couple honorable mentions, and I'm just going to kind of rapid fire these. So first I will mention Double Trouble 2018, cheap, ugly, just not good. I don't know. I'm surprised this thing sold out and actually came back for a second year. I find that absolutely crazy because this thing is so bad. Ghost Girl, the inflatable one. This is a hot take, I know. I think all of these are hot takes in the honorable mentions, but yeah, this thing, I do not like the mix of inflatable with prop on this one. I think it was executed very badly. I'm glad that it was just an experimental thing for Gemmy and they never really tackled it again. Let's keep it that way. And the final one is another probably hot take, even though I really don't think it should be. It's the pop-up zombie toilet. This thing is so ugly. This thing is so goofy. It's so dumb. The entire toilet is latex. Could you imagine being like, oh wow, I want that in my haunt, and then 3 years later I want it to start rotting. Also, the head is literally like styrofoam, so just, yeah, pop-up zombie toilet's not it. Okay, coming in at number 10, we have Morse costumes and seasonal visions with Pesky the Clown. This thing, look, I understand, look, I own Stitches. I was the first person to own Stitches. But with Stitches, he has some pretty unique audio. I think his design with the purple is a very nice color scheme. Pesky has Ronald McDonald color scheme, the exact same audio and head as Big Top Clown, and it's just not doing it for me. I think that he is ugly. I don't think he really needs to exist. I think it would have just been better had Morris gotten the Big Top Clown and just brought it to Morris that year. But no, they made a towering one, which is infinitely worse on a prop that's already pretty mid. Not a lot for me to say. Not a big fan of Pesky, and especially at $400 when Stitches, who is obviously the better pick, not to be biased or anything, is $200 less on a good day. Coming in at number 9, we have Lowe's with their rendition of the Grave Digger. Now, there are many, many grave digging animatronics out there. A lot of them are relatively solid, like the techie ones, and of course my favorite being the SVI. But the Lowe's one by Gemmy / Party Time is absolutely atrocious and butt ugly. I don't think I know anyone that actually owns this thing without the intention of selling it to a Facebook mom. This thing is not, just look at it, just watch the video, like, it's so terrible. I just can't understand why anybody would want this thing, especially at the price it was. I think it was $160, correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, not a good prop in the slightest. Very ugly, very poor. There's like witch laughing in the audio, and it's just a whole cluster of garbage. Coming in at number 8, this one's a little bit of a, just bear with me here. It's anything Halloween Costumes has ever put out. So with Halloween Costumes, they are a more recent introductory into the Halloween industry game. I think they were just starting off, I want to say, in 2020, and now they're, since about 2 years ago, they've been making their own line of props. Some of them are decent, and I'm going to leave them out of the nice little montage that I'm holding off to the side here, but the ones that I'm showing you are just they're valid for this list. I think they're absolutely valid for this list. And yeah, Halloween costumes, almost everything they put out is bad. There is some stuff on here that I could probably say is contender for the worst props ever, like number 1, number 2, but I just think it'd be easier to kind of combine everything that I think is trash, and most of them are clowns. But yeah, it's just, Halloween costumes really needs to step it up. They gotta get new designers, a new factory, something, because it is just not working out at all. Coming in at number 7, we have Morbid Enterprises with their Valak Nun. This thing is interesting, to say the least. I think a lot of the morbid stuff right before their death could probably make this list, but this thing just takes the cake as the absolute worst. If a lot of the stuff in 2020 had released, it would probably be on here, but luckily none of it did. So I'm left to talk about the nun. So with this thing, the hands are vacuum form and they're completely hollow from the underside. So it's literally like a clown shoe, but it's on their hands. And then the head, I think, is also vacuum form plastic. It just rocks back and forth. It has these ugly solid white LEDs, and it makes the most annoying audio I have ever heard on a prop. Yeah, it's just not a good item in the slightest, and I don't think I even know anyone that even considers this thing to be half decent. Coming in at number 6, we have Gemmy's 2018 rendition of the Zoltan Fortune Teller. This thing, I think you guys know, this guy has actually made every single one of my top 10 worst videos. I think I've done about 3 since I have made this channel, about like every other year or so. And this thing is trash because not only is it very cheaply made just by looking at it, it just looks very ugly. It looks very stiff, and that is all courtesy of the Party Time Factory. Yeah, not a lot for me to say that I haven't already said about this thing. It is bad, it looks bad, it's a disgrace to the original Zoltan, because the original Zoltan, it kicks ass. But this thing is just not good at all. And to keep going with the Gemmy stuff, coming in at number 5, I have the Gemmy Beetlejuice. Oh gosh, go golly gosh. Yeah, this thing is very, very ugly. Does not look anything like, I know a lot of people dog on the CCL Beetlejuice, and rightfully so. It does not, like, its face is very objectively ugly, but I still like him a lot. With this one, it's just ugly, and I don't like it at all. So, and then the animation is okay. It really is. It really, a lot of it just comes down to the looks and the price. I think it's like over $200 like anywhere now. But it really just comes down to his looks. I think he just looks nothing like Michael Keaton or Beetlejuice alone, and he is just not a good item. Just not feeling the Gemmy Beetlejuice at all, and I'm really glad that it kind of just faded into obscurity after the CCL one completely dethroned it. Coming in at number 4, we have the man, the myth, the legend, Johnny Punk. Yeah, so Johnny Punk by Woyu Metal Plastic Company is a prop that a lot of you are familiar with, one that is one of Spirit's most notorious for being bad. Of course, there's what can I say that hasn't already been said? The audio is atrocious. It is a very strange concept, and I feel like it could work. It could, but it didn't. And I don't know. I think with the Woyu, they should not be the ones making the swingers. I feel like this should have been a YJ thing. And I think YJ could have even done a much better job, i.e. Mr. Toothy. Yeah, Johnny Punk is just not a prop that I am a fan of at all. I've grown a very strong distaste to him. He's not the worst. He wasn't even the worst of 2020. But yeah, Johnny Punk, not good. Coming in at number 3, we have another icon. We have Betty Sharp. Yeah, greatest prop of all time, as you guys know from some of my past tier list videos. But this thing is terrible. Now there is a reason that number 2 is above it, and I will get to that because they do kind of coincide. Betty Sharp is made by Party Time, if you couldn't tell. So with that, you have this idea. I think the idea for Betty Sharp is not the worst. It's not. It's really not the worst. But the execution, from the animation being a moving sack to the looks that look like she is a mannequin from Old Navy with acrylic paint splattered across its face. She's terrible. Awful. The audio isn't the worst thing, but it's nothing that is going to make me say, wow, this completely just removes any negative thought I have about this prop. No, because it is so bad. It's just not a thing that I will ever see myself enjoying, and I actually kind of try and find a hard time seeing why people enjoy it at all. But let me get to number 2, and let me explain why it's worse than Betty Sharp. At number 2, I have CCL's worst animatronic ever, Rat Girl. Yeah, Rat Girl is, So let me explain why I dislike Rat Girl more than Betty Sharp. With Betty Sharp, she has character. She sucks, but she has a lot of character and passion put into her by the Chinese children at the Party Time Factory. Rat Girl does not have that. Rat Girl looks like the weird kid that you would see at the playground in middle school, picking her nose and eating it, and putting bugs in her hair, while on the swing crouching in the fetal position. As she moves her homungenous eyes back and forth, she sings Three Blind Mice, which is okay, whatever, but that does not, there is nothing to Rat Girl that would put her above Betty Sharp, because the character is completely gone and she is just bad. At least with Betty Sharp, they attempted something and kind of just failed miserably, but with Rat Girl, there was zero big fat goose egg of nothing put into her, and I think that is why she is the second worst prop of all time. Yeah, Betty Sharp's not doing good. As you can see, there's a lot of stuff from 2022 on this list. 2022 was not that hot of a year for Halloween in general. There's a lot of highs, but there was a lot of lows. And coming in at number 1, this has been the mainstay worst prop of all time for years now for me, and I don't ever see it changing because I don't think it could get any more worse than this. We have Gemmy's 2020 version of the Michael Myers. This thing is synonymous with the word garbage. This thing is so bad that Lowe's ordered it and made it better. It was still bad. It was still bad, but they made it better. This thing is an icon because now Gemmy has used this ringtone music on the tabletop Michael stuff. There is an unreleased greeter of Michael with this audio. There is a candy dish with this audio. Yeah, this thing, everybody knows it's bad. Everybody knows it's bad. There is not one person on God's green earth that thinks that this thing is good. And if they exist, I will delete my channel. And with that being said, I hope you guys did enjoy my top 10 worst animatronics of all time video today. I will be releasing a lot more top 10s coming in the furthermore weeks. I have a lot of big things planned next week though, and you guys are really going to want to stay tuned for that because it is going to get hype. I am Spooky Guy 444. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye.